Welcome to Murf+E Unfiltered Zero BS Biz Talk. I'm Kathleen Murf+E, and I'm your host. And I'm here today with a special co-host named Matt Gorman. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great, Kathy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
Thank you. This is my first podcast for this year, so I'm delighted to have you on as a guest for many reasons. I was talking to my producer, Peter, earlier about the fact that I think I've been trying to get you on maybe as a guest for quite a while. You're such a popular guy. It's hard to get you on the schedule. So thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks for that. I'm flattered that I get to be your first of the year. That's very exciting to me, and I'm excited to be here and communicating with you on your awesome podcast here.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So for context, I'm going to share with people a little bit about your background. And if there's anything that I say that isn't accurate or you feel like, Kathy, you made that up, just let me know. And you can course correct me on that, as we talked about a little bit earlier. So Matt is coming today from Canada. Alberta, Canada. Is that correct?
You got it. Yeah. Edmonton, Alberta.
I love it. I love it. And you live there with your family. He is a father and he's a husband. And I believe you have 3 lovely girls.
Man, you're good, Kathy. Yeah, I do. I have 3, a 15, a 16, and an 18-year-old.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, you're a special man for being in a household like that. And so is your wife, your lovely wife, which I might add, there's a wonderful story that we won't get into today. But if you ever want to ask Matt, he's got the most beautiful story about how he and his wife met. So I'll just leave that as a sort of dangling point of interest for people. And not only is Matt a former professional athlete, he also studied oil and gas operations at Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. So he's a smart guy. We know that. And you played professional hockey in Europe for, I think it was around or over 10 years. And you played for some teams that I'm going to butcher the names on these. So you're going to need to probably make an adjustment for me here. The HC Eppen Pirates and the Bad Toles Lions. Okay, how badly did I butcher those? You
Beautiful.
Can tell us.
Beautiful. I wouldn't be able to say it any better than you on that,
Really?
Kathy. So,
wow.
Bad Toles is in the Black Forest of Germany.
Okay.
And then Appiano is in the Südtirol of Italy, just within the Austrian and Italian borders is basically what it is.
Wow. Wow. How fortunate were they to have you there and for you to experience being in that part of the world. And one of the things that I also wanted to share with people is how we met. We met through our connection on LinkedIn. And I was looking for some advice, and you were willing to give me some advice relating to the work that I do with sports teams and athletes. And it was incredibly sage advice, and I'll be forever grateful for that. So thank you for that. And I was incredibly impressed with the knowledge that you shared with me. So today we're going to talk also about Matt's role as, I believe, are you a founding person for the MC and sports advising in Western Canada? Did I get that right? Yeah,
that's right. You're in, and there's all kinds of different companies out there that are in the same industry,
okay,
of course, but MC in Canada is, I guess we're just over our 10th year of business here.
Congratulations. Oh, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. And a fun fact that I just discovered also, you're welcome, is that we're both Pisces. That's why we get along so well.
Hey, fellow Pisces, always a good time for sure.
Exactly. So today, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking today about a subject that is near and dear to both of our hearts. It's about collaborative coaching and advising, something that we both are actively involved with on a regular basis. And I wanted to share with the audience today about the fact that, as we both know, that there is an extremely competitive nature for high school athletes to obtain a college scholarship or perhaps pursue a professional sports path out of high school. And they need all the support that they can get. This is why specialized sports coach experts are in high demand Today, as you know, I'm speaking with former professional hockey player Matt Gorman at MCN Advising. And we're going to be talking about how we work collaboratively to support student athletes who are seeking to compete at the college and professional levels. And I can't wait to dive in here and to ask you some questions, Matt, to get us going here. So for the audience's benefit, tell us what was the path that you took from starting to play hockey? When did you start? Because I know there's kind of like this very friendly sort of reference to Canadians in the U.S. that most Canadians come out with skates on, and that Canadians are just way better skaters just out of the gate compared to anybody else. So when did you start skating? And then take us through a little bit of a story in terms of like how you went from a very young person having skates on to becoming a professional hockey player, and then to where you're at presently today. What is that
Thanks
story?
for that, Kathy. I think I started skating at about 4 years old. Skating is a little bit different than the hockey side of things. I just enjoyed being out there from what I understood from my parents, who got me involved just because I was one of those kids that was just high of energy and basically just wanted to do everything.
Oh, sure.
As time went on, I really enjoyed the game of hockey, and I just focused on it so much, and I did every moment of the day. I'd either be playing hand hockey, which is now today mini sticks,
Okay.
or I'd be out on the ODR, the outdoor rinks, and just having a good time and without any pressure. I think was the best part of my days is nobody was telling me what to do. I'd go out. I had an older brother who played hockey. My dad played hockey, and it was just something that we did. And as far as street hockey, it was nonstop. My buddies, we'd meet after school and we'd be playing till dark.
Right.
And those are the memories, and those are the times that I basically valued and learned to love the game and just pursuing it as best as I could. And it's some great times.
So you learned how to play hockey, first how to obviously skate, then you moved into hockey, learned that you had a love for it. At some point, someone decided or pointed out to you, hey, you seem to be pretty good at this. It looks like you could probably take this to another level. At what point did that happen? And like, who was that person? What did that story look like?
It's pretty funny, Kathy, because, I think I had a lot of doubters, and I don't know if there was many people that were saying, hey, you're going to take the game somewhere. And, it was, I think it was just more that I just loved the game that much. And I continued to build, and I'd get knocked down 10 times and I'd keep getting up. And I think that was the story of my career right into the U18s. I played U18, and I think everybody thought I should maybe quit after my U18 season. But, I had one coach that, believed in me in junior hockey, and he allowed me to go out, and Doug Shum always threw me out on the power plays and just kind of gave me those opportunities to just go out and perform and maybe, work on my skills as scoring a goal here and there. My parents were always supportive of myself and my brother, and, basically giving me the opportunities, I guess you would, to playing the game,
right,
and pushing myself to that next level, and just being there. I think was the best part about my childhood was my parents were in the stands.
You're lucky.
And there was zero pressure on that.
And then, so how did you take it to the next level? So you played professionally.
Stubborn. I was stubborn. So basically, I ventured through junior hockey, and I had a couple good years as an 18 to 20-year-old player, and eventually was offered a scholarship to North Dakota University, where I ended up going into the minors, and that's a whole nother story. But I circulated through the East Coast and the Central League, and into the American Hockey League as well. Probably about 10 different teams my first year.
Wow.
And teams would say, hey, Matt, we're going to get bigger in the middle, or we're going to put you on waivers. And I basically I wouldn't take no, Kathy. I kept going, and I kept showing up, and a contract would come, and I'd be like, hey, you know what, I'm doing this, and I'm showing up. And my wife at the time, she was my girlfriend, and her and I just kind of, she supported me to go through the steps. And I kept taking no and turning it into a positive eventually, and finding my groove to go to Europe for 10 years.
I love your tenacity and your resilience and the fact that you didn't let no get in the way, because I think so many people hear no once and they think, okay, that door's closed. And from your perspective and my perspective, that just means, as the expression goes, one door closes and maybe a window opens up as an opportunity. And you were living and breathing that on a regular basis. And I just love that. And you had a belief in yourself, and it started with people believing in you, and then at some point you've got to turn that around and focus that on yourself and really believe that you can do whatever it is that you set out to do. So my gosh, that's actually like so incredible. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you about also was what was one of the things that you liked most about playing professional hockey?
And we talk about that a lot. I belong to a professional hockey players group, and we discuss a lot of these details. And to be honest, it's really not the hockey. I know it sounds cliche. Everybody likes to say it, but I don't remember much of the gameplay. I don't remember much of the certain goals or the assists, any of that stuff. But I definitely cherish the different cultures, the different personalities, the guys that I learned from that were just true pros, and the way they held, themselves accountable all the time, and, within the game. And we had a lot of great times as far as just, away from the rink.
Right.
At the rink, we sat in the dressing room a lot. And that's just a unique spot that I think any player or person that gets the opportunity to be part of a team in a closed environment for, sometimes 60 to 70 games in a year.
It's a lot.
You really get to know each other. And I think those are the things that I really valued. Traveling the globe and the amount of people that I've been fortunate to become friends with.
Exactly. That's beautiful. I love that. And what an opportunity that you had. Given the fact that you played for quite some time, upon looking back, what would you say might be your superpower that, and I heard maybe some words earlier that set you apart from everyone else professionally? Is there a superpower?
Well, you know
that
what?
You
I really think resiliency is
Yes.
probably the word for me. Anybody that knows me, I don't give up on much. There's nothing. I don't give up on people. I don't give up on my expectations of myself. I like to see the best in people. And, I think resiliency is something that I learned at a really young age. And, I know we use the word entitled a lot in our world now. And
Sure.
I think that from our days, and maybe you can relate on this, Kathy, I know you're not as old as I am, but
I'm way older.
I think that I don't think so, but I think the fact that I had to work for every inch of an opportunity, basically.
Sure.
So maybe that's the word for me, is resiliency.
I love that. So let's fast forward through to present day time. You're at MCN Advising. What is MCN Advising, and how did you get there, and what made you stand up MCN Advising? What is it all about? Tell us a little bit more about that.
The advising side, I had agents over the years, and typically what I found when I had agents was it was more of the fact there was no mentorship. There was no real relationship in building and supporting, and, realizing that I was in some tough spots in a lot of ways on the ice. Maybe there were situations that I got in my own head, and I didn't know how to navigate it. So I'd call Dad, and Dad would give me those outlines, and, everything from even just being a good teammate and understanding where my place was in the game. So when it came down to this advising side, the mentoring end was something that I really thought would be our first and foremost tool as a group to give back to the younger players and supporting the families. And then the exposure side, of course, is something that the kids love. The fact that we use our network to open up doors and opportunities for these players. to be able to go to the next level, and with credible information that we'd provide for those universities or junior A teams or essentially pro teams.
Right.
With that, that's basically the mentoring side, and you and I have gone over some of that mentoring side, and
Sure have.
and the collaboration as to where we're going to be heading here together. The fact that I am just a hockey guy that loves the game, and I'm not trained as far as where your credentials come in to dealing with the that end of things and the sports performance as far as the mental side. So
exactly. It's funny you should say that, because last night I was speaking to one of my student athletes who is not a hockey player, but yet is looking to play at the college level. And we were talking about aspects of his current play and of his game right now. And one of the things that he talked about being, the toughest part, he's got the athleticism part down. That's no problem. One of the things that he said to me that was really striking, and I haven't heard another athlete necessarily express it this way, was that he said, when I asked him the question, what's something that your coach could help you out with that seems to be missing right now? And then if I was to convey something to your coach, because I happen to also talk to his coach, or will be rather, this particular one. He has 3 coaches that I'm working with as it relates to the project that I'm working on with him, is he said, I'd really love it if my coach understood that I would love some more one-on-one interaction time. And I said, wow. I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, we don't really take a lot of time to ever have the coach set aside special time just to give feedback to us on a one-to-one basis. And he said, that would mean the world to me. Another thing that he said, which was really interesting, is that he said he recently got a letter. And I said, well, who did you get a letter from? He said, from one of my teammates currently that I'm playing with. And I said, well, what did the letter say? I had no idea where this was going. And he said he just wanted to let me know how much he appreciated the fact that I was so supportive of him and was such a good teammate to him. And I thought, wow, that's incredible. So I said, you'd like to get more letters then? That was really meaningful to you? And he said, yes. He said, this is the first letter I've ever gotten from somebody like that. And it just meant the world to me. And I just thought that was just, it was really, really heartfelt. And it brings up sort of an area that you and I talk a lot about, just in terms of the importance of aspects of things related to the work that each of us do. So I'm an executive sports coach, and so I work with both businesses and I work with their leaders, and I also work with student athletes and sports coaches in their teams at both the high school, college, and aspiring to the pro level right now. And one of the things that routinely comes up, like that you talked about, is the mental health aspect relating to how difficult it can be to sort of navigate, right, the process of moving from one level to the next. And then also just when you're in it, if you come across any kind of scenario that you don't feel like there's support, oftentimes it comes down to maybe you need a little bit more mental health support, right? Maybe somebody needs to just kind of talk you through how to get through the adversity that you're experiencing, getting through hearing maybe a comment that somebody made that's just stuck in your head now and it's causing your performance to go in the tank and for you not to perform well. Or perhaps you're just not having a good day on whatever sports court, field, whatever you're playing on, and you don't know how to get out of your own head. So I would imagine that the mentoring part from our conversations in the past is critical to help people navigate through all of that kind of sort of, challenges that they have, and also the noise in their head, right? You and I have talked about this. Stopping the noise that's going on in people's head. And that comes from sometimes their coaches, sometimes their friends, sometimes prospective, agents that might be looking at them, social media, right? You and I talk about that. Like, gosh,
Big time.
right?
Yeah.
If we could just set that aside, things would be a lot better. But from your perspective, what's maybe like a topic or something conversationally that you find that you spend an immense amount of time on with people and that gives really incredible results?
Well, yeah, I love how you put all that together, Kathy, is how we collaborate and how we differ in I guess the education side and the knowledge. I think that you bring such an element to these families and these kids, and essentially these coaches too that need your assistance on that end. The one thing that the self-identity, I think, is something that we have a very difficult time with in today's age with the social media and the comparisons of others. I think helping these young people that have aspirations to go to that next level understand that it's almost like a disease when you start to compare yourself to somebody else.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what it is.
100%.
They basically say, hey, you know what? I'm just as good as that player. I'm just as good as that one. And, I should be here, and almost trying to fast track everything. And really, I find our team finds themselves, and I know you and I have discussed this before, the fact of just going through each step and not rushing the next stage, if you would. It's one of those things that we're forever trying to let these kids know that just be content as to where you are at this moment in time. Don't rush it.
Exactly.
But so many times, right?
Yes.
It's a tough one.
It is a really tough one. And I've had many conversations with student athletes that involve them sitting on the bench and them maybe being a bench sort of player, if you will, but they're supporting the starters. And it's just that they haven't gotten their opportunity yet. They will be. And they're helping to make other people better. And it's a very unselfish position that they have to be in. And it's very hard to sometimes be in that position, especially if everyone else is telling you you're so wonderful. And that's one of the most difficult things that I find I come across with a lot of the student athletes. But also just helping the student athletes appreciate and understand that, most people have their best interest in mind. But one of the things that the kind of work that I help support and that you help support these student athletes with also is independent of where they want to take themselves to the next level, is with helping them, and you brought it up a moment ago, is awareness. And I call it, I focus on self-awareness. So I'm a Gallup trained strengths coach. So I focus on helping people to identify what their top 5 strengths are and then taking them from being good to amazing with those strengths. And they're going to be able to use that in so many different ways by the coaching that I do with them through that. It helps them to promote themselves, which is going to be a lifelong skill that they can benefit from. It's going to be impactfully both in terms of how it makes them more authentic and a real person and not just like me. It also helps them to understand their motivators and also equally important, what's a demotivator. And then also knowing what you bring to a team. So the work that I do and you do helps people to, like, from our lenses, see what we see that they may not see, that other people, need to maybe have pointed out to them if they're not seeing that just yet. It helps them to be able to communicate and collaborate more effectively. These are all skills that, like, both you and I, in different ways, are helping the student athletes and their families, because I also work with a lot of families in the mix of the work that I do, and I know you do too. And you want to talk a little bit about that, because that's something that we've had some really in-depth conversations with, about the family aspect tying into this.
Yeah, and I think that's where you and I really work together on that end, as far as your understanding of how to, settle the families down.
Yes.
In a professional way. You're trained in that, and I think every family in this world could probably use you to basically
thank you.
Anxiety wise and just the unknowns, and as many it's almost like the parents are more stressed out than the youth that are actually playing the game.
I agree.
As to the futures of these kids, and it's almost where it's detrimental to the kids even, because you're having the kids they're playing the game. It's supposed to be fun. They're not professionals.
No.
It's supposed to be a fun time. Even as a high school kid, it should be fun. Even when you're a pro, it should be fun. But it's almost where the enjoyment is coming out of it because of the families. And everybody says, well, I'm not really that intertwined and this and that. But at the end of the day, when they're calling me and they're stressed about, the tryout, and it's mom and dad that are stressed out.
Right.
I'm calling you, Kathy, going, hey, Kathy, I need you to deal with the, Mr. and Mrs. Smith here and see if you can, work on that end of things. And whereas I'm going, you just keep going out and you bring what you do to the game and, bring your best efforts. And that's all you can really do.
That's right.
And really stay, right? So
100%.
It's a tough market in that one for sure.
It is. As a matter of fact, it brings up something that happened a couple weeks ago. I got a call from a parent, and they were all stressed out about their young athlete being sort of down in the dumps, and that they felt that their confidence level had really waned. And they asked me, I'm a neuro-linguistic programming coach also, so NLP. People have maybe heard of Tony Robbins. So if you think about it, it's all about speaking to the subconscious mind and getting into the mind, to kind of reprogramming it, to orient it to be able to get you back to the place that you want to be from a performance perspective. It's used in both business, and a lot of Olympic athletes use it and a lot of pro athletes use it. But this parent reached out to me and they said, what can you do to help our son with his confidence? It's completely in the dumps. And so I ran some NLP exercises on him. So I'm actually waiting to see how it's going to work, because there was a sort of a gap in terms of when we did that. And his first game back is actually this Friday. So it was about a 2-week gap in terms of the exercise being run and that. But so stay tuned on that one. I'll have to come back to you on how that works. But I know it works because I've used it with athletes that have to actually put it into performance in like 15 minutes. So from the time that we do the work. So it's really good. So we obviously have a partnership going on, and we are interested in having people understand that we've got this great relationship, and we have our respective strengths and our respective businesses. But what do you think the best way for people to contact us is?
Well, you know what? I think that reaching out to any person that reaches out to me is basically going to be steered in your direction, because I do believe in what you do, and I think that it complements the mentoring side, but on the professional end too. The knowledge that you offer these families. So I think anyone that connects with me will be essentially referred to you as well.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Basically complementing everything that we do as a group. You just bring that extra touch in there, and I think that's probably the best way, and I'd be happy to pass on your email, phone number, all the contact that, from that end.
And vice versa, just because I'm in the U.S. and because you're in Canada, we're both in North America, right? We're on the same team. So
you betcha there.
Yeah, and it's quite a dynamic team, and I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to come across you on LinkedIn. So thank you, LinkedIn, for allowing us to collaborate and connect like we have done so. So I can't believe we've gone through a quick 30 minutes here. We could probably talk for another couple hours easily, and I'd love to have you back on as a guest also to talk about many more exciting topics that you and I have talked about for great lengths in the past. So I want to thank everybody today for being here at Murf+E Unfiltered, Zero BS Biz Talk, and to welcome you back, as we'll have lots of other interesting shows and guests like Matt Gorman back on for you to hear lots more fascinating stories and information from. So take care, everybody.